Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, Lamar, to share your story with us.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
My name's Kaya, and I have a bunch of questions for these guys that I'm going to ask, and hopefully I'm going to leave enough time for you guys to ask questions, too. So, Lamar.
Yes.
People know you as this basketball star. They know you as a former Kardashian husband. They've seen your journey. Many of us have been watching you for many years. And then we saw in that trailer in 2015 here in Las Vegas, you had this very public overdose. You had 12 strokes and 6 heart attacks.
Yeah.
But what people maybe don't know is that even before that time, you were really struggling with addiction for quite a while, like in secret.
Yeah.
Been in and out of rehab.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that time in your life? Let's go back to like prior to that.
Oh, wow. Oof.
That was like the old Lamar.
Yeah, I don't even remember that guy.
The Ibogaine.
We're going to go on a journey because I think to understand how profound your healing and recovery was, it's important for us to understand just how bad it really was.
Well, it cost me, I guess, the love of my life, a lot of money, and embarrassment, time away from my children. I got my son here with me right now, in the back. Stand up, And just a lot of lost time.
Yeah.
And I think about the day my son passed away. I kind of subconsciously made that an excuse to go get high, and from there I just revved it up. And then according to I was married to Khloe Kardashian, so all my bad habits, of course I had to keep secret. It was hard.
Yeah. And so even though you've been trying to get clean, you've been to rehab how many times?
Twice.
Yeah. It just nothing was working.
I mean, nothing. Because you're gonna go through hard times and tribulations in life, and nothing stuck enough to attack those hard times. Make those hard times, buffer those hard times.
So I've heard you talk about your recovery in some other interviews. There's a special Sex, Drugs, and Kardashians, something like that, that came out last year.
You watched that?
I did watch it. I did. And you talk about how you finally ended your addiction. You talk about your connection to God, but you kind of don't mention your psychedelic journey in that one anyway. And I'm just wondering, now here you are. We're going to hear about your psychedelic journey. Obviously, Lamar Odom Reborn has been on Amazon Prime, but how is it for you to speak publicly about how these psychedelics really were an important part of your recovery?
Well, it's easy because it's the truth. I know it's. Obviously, I don't want to make this short in time or anything like that, but I know I was over everything. When my boy died, and I didn't go make the excuse to use drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So.
And when you say your boy,
when Kobe passed away in the helicopter.
Kobe Bryant was like your best friend, right?
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew I was over. I knew I was cured.
So in that moment, yes.
Let me tell you about that moment, because that was kind of for me the ultimate testimonial. And obviously I'm a broken record on psychedelics as a way to heal mental health and break addiction, but in that moment it was it exceeded my own expectations when Lamar called me shortly after Kobe died and said, Zappy, I just want to tell you this. He's like, I knew after that, when that happened, I knew I could do it and get away with it. People would give me a break on that. And he's like, but since the Ibogaine, he's like, I just didn't have the desire to do it.
Yeah.
And that was I was like, wow, what else do you want to hear? Yeah, no.
I got the Ibogaine, that was the hardest shit I ever took in my life. Like, and that was a ride that I wish when I was in the process of the experience, it was so strong. I was wishing that it would stop because it is a beast. But in the process, I got to hear my mother's voice over and over again.
Yeah.
I got to see my son, so it was worth it.
Yeah. No, and for people that don't know, ibogaine is this African root that is known to break a heroin addiction, meth, crack, opiates, gambling, whatever it is. It's a 12 to 24-hour experience that's very intense, like Lamar's saying. But the beauty of it is you basically, the Bwiti, this tribe in Africa, has been using it for tens of thousands of years as a way to commune with their ancestors. So when you take it, you can have this experience of meeting people, as they say, at the soul level. So I kind of knew going in, having brought a lot of people, that opportunity was there, to reconnect with people. And I know how once that happens, you're totally, that's worth it on its own, no matter what happened else in the ibogaine. But the fact that you can go back and communicate with people, even, the Bwiti will say dead or alive, at the soul level you can connect. But if you do want to connect with somebody who's passed, it's going to happen. And so it was cool for me to see that with Lamar.
Zappy, I want to hear about what Lamar was like when you first met him, and how did you decide what direction to steer him? Obviously, you guys are talking about ibogaine, but you didn't start with ibogaine. So tell us the story about meeting Lamar.
Yeah, so, I've been showing my Reality of Truth movie, which features Michelle Rodriguez and some friends and I going down to Peru and drinking ayahuasca. She's amazing in that movie. And I was showing the movie and somebody came up to me after, a friend of Lamar, and he said, hey, I'm friends with Lamar and I really feel like he needs this. Like, he's kind of tried everything else, but this he hasn't tried, and I'm seeing your movie and it looks like potentially amazing. So he connected me with Lamar, and I think Lamar was just in like a really good place where you were open, like you knew you'd tried the other stuff, and he was like, okay, well, what's here for me? And so I knew I couldn't probably get him to do ibogaine right away and go down to Mexico. But I was like, hey, ketamine is FDA approved. You do it at a doctor's office. Like, I think this would be something to try. You've never gone inside your mind, and this is really safe and effective. And, I'd sit there with you and make sure, it went well. I do that. And so he was like the bravest person I know, because then I was like, and do you mind if I put a camera on you? And thank God he's like media trained, and he was like, whatever. He's like, you can't use it, but yeah, sure, do it, And so we shot it, and he had a great experience going in there. Our guy Andres, who's there in the back, who's shooting, was there, and he's been with me on a lot of the Lamar adventure. And it's just so cool because Lamar, because of his experience doing probably a lot of drugs in your life, being, as you say, good at doing drugs, he had a high tolerance, so he really needed to be with professionals who could really assess what he needed. And so brought him to do the ketamine, had that amazing experience, and then we went around to all the top ketamine doctors, Dr. Mandel in California, Dr. Brooks in New York, and he was able to have their protocol. And so he is a great, subject of and knowledge base for, I feel like, going forward, a lot of people to know what it's like or know what to do. And once he was comfortable going inside ketamine, I said, well, there's this African root and it's super intense, but I think you might want to try it because you don't have to go through, he wasn't detoxing anything. Like I said, Lamar wasn't a classic addict. He wasn't addicted to something. He was just like, his mom died, and his son died. He just, whatever he could to take his mind off it, he would probably do it. So I just said, hey, if you never want to like really have that urge, then ibogaine's probably for you, because it it eliminates detox, the need to do detox, and then, which can take 6 weeks or something horrible like that. Ibogaine, if you get through the 12 hours, which you're gonna, you don't have to detox, and it's said to wipe your prefrontal cortex so you don't have any more cravings at that point. So you come out and you have this window of time to get your lifestyle changed and to, you know, figure out what's, you know, how you want to live in your frequency, because I think this is just me, but I think the ibogaine puts you in your own frequency. It takes all that other stuff that people put on you, that's gone, it's just you. And then when people come at you now, because people still would come at Lamar all the time and probably do every day and say, hey, get on my jet, come to Vegas. And at that point, I just saw him, rather than saying, oh yeah, why don't I do that so I don't have to, you know, sit here and think about whatever. He was like, doesn't really resonate with me right now. Like, I'm good, thank you, you know. And I was like, wow, like he's really being proactive, not reactive.
Well, it takes away your anxiety, helps you stay present.
The ketamine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just,
I want
I
to
think-
hear a bit more about the ketamine from you.
That the ketamine in itself does the same thing. And I think that was the start of my healing process with the ketamine.
Yeah.
Less anxiety, better decision making,
So-
healthy life, you know, just healthy through life.
When Debbie first suggested that you try ketamine, what did you think about that?
I didn't really know how to take it because my father was a heroin addict
Yeah.
all my childhood. So I didn't know how sticking something in my vein could help me get better. But when he further explained it, and I went through the process, it felt like I was in heaven. When I first took ketamine, I call it the healthy high.
Yeah.
And
You said you felt like you went to heaven.
Yeah, it was really real peaceful.
And I've also heard you say it sort of like quieted your mind and helped with the anxiety.
Yeah, you know,
Pretty much
like I think
right away. Did you feel that effect?
anxiety was like made it easier for me, I guess, to do drugs, or try new shit.
Yeah. Anything to stop that.
Yeah, that I shouldn't even, I even shouldn't try the forbidden drugs.
So then the anxiety was lowered, it was less.
Yeah, it helps your decision making
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. I've also heard you say that you felt like the ketamine has helped you regain some of your cognitive abilities. You had 12 strokes.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point the doctor said you could not
Yeah,
walk
well-
or talk.
When I woke up, I couldn't walk or talk. And I had a really embarrassing problem holding my bowels, to tell you the truth. I'm a older two-time Olympic champion. I can't hold my bowels. You know, but lucky with the ketamine definitely helped with my balance. Even with my memory, I think about it.
Yeah, it creates new dendrite growth, so new neuron connections in the brain, and if you're combining that with like probably your physical therapy and the other things that you're doing, it makes sense that it would work that way.
100%, because I kind of stopped my cognitive therapy a little faster than I should have, because I started healing so fast. Like I started walking and talking so fast, I kind of took it for granted. And I know that the ketamine probably brought some things back.
Yeah. So do you still use, have a ketamine treatment sometimes if you?
I mean, not as much as I should, but I need you guys for
Yeah,
that.
do you feel like, I mean, I've been with you through some of your booster treatments over the years, but do you feel like you can tell when you can use a booster treatment and the anxiety starts to come back?
Yeah, I could probably use one now, because I'm doing so much. And I'm on the road, I'm on the road so much, and, you know, I'm an addict, so I have to stay away from hungry, angry, and being tired. And I've been experiencing a lot of that lately, being on the road. So I can definitely use one.
Yeah, you know, it's been cool. Ketamine, the great thing about it is it started to really evolve. It's had its different moments. Like the way they found out that ketamine works is that they were using it in Vietnam in the battlefield to do amputations. and they were using it because it's an anesthetic, so they were using other anesthetics, and they looked back after Vietnam, and they realized that the people that had the ketamine anesthetic had not committed suicide at anywhere near the rates of the other people. So they were like, wow, something's going on here. They brought it to Yale University. They did a couple thousand person study and came up with ketamine, low dose ketamine, done correctly, because the thing about ketamine is people are using it a lot all over the place, but they're snorting ketamine up their nose. And when you snort anything, it hits your opiate receptors in your brain, so it can be very addictive, and it also hits your ocular nerve, and it's not the same experience as doing medical ketamine. And so initially people were doing it in a clinic where the doctor would give you a low dose ketamine in an IV, and then that sort of evolved to where people were getting an intramuscular shot in the arm, kind of like flu shot, and then you don't have to have somebody hooked up to an IV for 45 minutes and all that hassle. And then when the pandemic hit, they came out with a ketamine lozenge that you melt in your mouth and you can have an experience. As awesome as that was, it was very hard to figure out what the dosing was because everybody's metabolism was much different. If you give somebody a shot or an IV, you know exactly how much you're getting. So what we now are doing, and Lamar and his family have had these treatments, and I hope he's going to be a big part of the spokespersonship of this company, but we started something called Keta VIP in Los Angeles to begin with. I'm sure we'll be here in Vegas, but really this was a reaction to the Matthew Perry situation where he died tragically in a hot tub, and they found ketamine and some other things in his blood, and they called it acute ketamine in order to try to, villainize ketamine. And the fact is, anybody who's in a hot tub and does a muscle relaxer or something like that with nobody around and is trying to be their own doctor is going to probably have a problem. And so that was unfortunate. And then in response to that, we thought, let's do a service in Los Angeles where you don't have to go into the clinic, because people don't love going into clinics and sitting with other people and getting breathed on or having to, just be in a vulnerable position like that. Why not bring the doctor to your house or the nurse to your house? It makes so much more sense, and be in the ultimate set and setting, which is what you want to be with psychedelics, which is your own house, your own bed, and be safe. And then you don't have to play doctor and get yourself in trouble, because the ketamine is that amazing. When it metabolizes after in your body, it grows new neural pathways in your brain. So it is building new gray matter in your brain, new synapses. So everyone at some point, hopefully it's covered by insurance. Access it's very cheap. It's just expensive right now because unfortunately other pharmaceutical interests and other people don't love people getting immediately healed,
Of course not. I mean, we've all made it through the pandemic, so everybody in here probably suffers from some kind of depression, anxiety, what else?
Yeah.
PTSD.
Yeah.
So why not get healed in your home?
That's it.
It's easy.
Thanks, you guys.
No problem.
So Lamar, you had these ketamine treatments, and then tell me about this adventure, you guys, to do the Ibogaine. You had to go to Mexico. So you after the ketamine, you felt like you were
It's
more
illegal
open
here.
to the Ibogaine.
It's illegal here, no?
Yeah. Still not legal anywhere in the U.S. So you decided
How do
to
we
take
get that
the
changed?
trip down there.
Well,
Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, that was, like I said before, it was I've done everything under the sun as far as drugs are concerned, and it was like, fuck.
But this was like a medical treatment, right? Like they were monitoring you.
Yeah, I mean, we had nurses in there, so I didn't have any reason to be scared, but it was just like,
it was intense.
yeah, like, please stop, like turn off, but it wouldn't. And they said, some of the first things you usually see is like some of the closest people in your family. And I saw big face of my cousin Sierra, who I basically like raised in my family. And I kept hearing my mother's voice and my grandmother's voice. And I think the most spiritual interaction that I had in that process, where I got to see my son, I got to see his brother at the age he passed away at, and then the age, like maybe like around 7 to 8, and then the age he would have been now. And
That's like gotta be, for anybody who's lost somebody, that's gotta be like an epic experience
now,
to
man,
have
that can't make you stop doing drugs. I don't know.
So after the Ibogaine, did you feel like you had no more desire to do
I know, I just, not no cocaine or anything that where I can, damage my body with. It's just I didn't even get the thought. I don't yeah. God is good, I guess. And I've been tested, like I said before, with my man died.
Can I gotta make one point about, as Lamar said, he's, has faith in God, and I feel like right now we have to call the most obvious thing, which is if you believe in God and you think God is all-knowing, then God would have known that we're gonna go through a pandemic and have a fentanyl crisis, and would have put some natural things here to help us to tap into spirituality and break addiction. I mean, that's just like, either that your definition's off if you don't think that God would be smart enough to do that. We just, the humans, we've had this thing since maybe the 1960s where we thought technology could solve everything, not nature. And so we got away from it, and then we got ourselves now here to the brink, and nature is about to bail us out again. And I think ultimately Ibogaine, this plant from Africa, is going to be sort of seen as the real panacea. Probably makes sense that it would come from Africa and be, like the Garden of Eden plant. But it is remarkable because they say that, you do about a gram or more of Ibogaine as a flood dose to break an addiction or some mental health situation. But they say that if you microdose Ibogaine, like just, a very small amount, less than 1/10 of a gram, that you can reverse Parkinson's disease with that.
That's
With all
crazy.
the neural connections. So
how
I think we got to embrace this.
Yeah. I think soon we're gonna have like people that try like alternative medicines, and then there's gonna be a group of those people, and they're gonna be like just alcoholics.
Yeah.
Which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
We got,
Everybody on the alcoholic side just needs to.
Yeah, seriously, it's gonna be either one, because life is so serious that everybody's like, life is an excuse for an escape. Life is so treacherous and unpredictable.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you need a biohack of nature right now, because it is, our brains may not even be set up to handle a level of information and technology that we're being hit with. And people, I can see, like Omar is saying, that people are getting frozen, they just don't know what to do, they're in fear. And if we have these biohacks, like I said, I wouldn't want to be like die and be at the pearly gates and like trying to come in, and then God says to me, why are you here? And I'm like, oh, I died of this. And then God says, well, why didn't you take some of those natural plants?
I was giving you alternatives, bro.
And then I feel like if I answered and I said, oh, because this guy in a white coat told me not to, he'd be like, or she would be like, you're going back another 1,000 lifetimes now. So.
Well, you got pretty big fans of Ibogaine up here. I think we've all had some really profound experiences with Ibogaine, so we'd really like to see the laws change. And I know that you two have done some advocacy around the laws changing.
Yeah, we went to
Kentucky.
in Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I commend you for that, and I hope we see more of that. I think there's a lot that we still need to learn about Ibogaine. We're talking about how it takes your brain back to a pre-addictive state, which I think it's like the only only substance on earth that can do that, but it also does this amazing physical reboot, which you experienced.
Yeah.
So even
I think-
after your horrific accident, after the Ibogaine, you said you felt like you could play professional basketball again.
It's crazy. I went from,
And you did.
and I did. How about that? I really did.
Tell us a little bit
I really did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to I mean, there was a point in time where after the accident, I couldn't even stand on one foot. And it was right after the Ibogaine. I had this, it just came to me. I was like, I don't know. I remember like before the Ibogaine treatment, I remember I went to dribble the basketball. And, for my height, me able to dribble the basketball the way I did was like just a natural advantage to me. And I remember I went to dribble the basketball the first time and I couldn't. And it's something that came really natural to me. And I kind of like took my confidence.
Oh, that must have been devastating.
And, after the Ibogaine,
Like
I
40,
remember-
48 hours
yeah,
after
after
the
the Ibogaine,
Ibogaine.
for 48 hours, I just had this thought. I was like, I can play pro ball again. And I trained for like 4 or 5 months. I hooked up with a team in the Philippines. And they had a tournament in Saudi Arabia, and I got out there and I played. I was shit. According to my expectancy of myself, how I played basketball. But I did get out there and I tried. And I performed, at the highest level I could. But it was tough. It's still tough for me to recognize I'm not the same player anymore, but I gave it a shot.
Well, just it's like a rocky moment, that I felt like Lamar got to have, and just to accentuate how amazing this was, 48 hours after the Ibogaine, and it's almost captured kind of in the movie.
Yeah,
but-
we were in a van, and I was just like, there's the fuck, I don't know what the hell.
Yeah,
I
he was like,
thinking
I think I can do it. And a friend of his who's a trainer, bodyguard guy, he was like, Lamar, dude, take it easy, all right?
He was questioning me. That's what made me like really want to do it.
Yeah.
Put it in his face too.
He was like, and he goes, Lamar, you're 40 years old, you can't be smoking weed, you'd have to work out 4 hours a day. And you're like, yeah, I know, I've done it before, I'm gonna do it. And nobody was pushing Lamar. I just saw you go back to the gym and just like, you're getting your strength. And so that's the
But
power.
I think for all this addict shit, understanding your environment, and having people around you that care and that want to see you live your best life. I think is important too. So I thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, likewise. Thank you. So maybe we'll take some questions or something. Oh, you have a couple more? Okay. All right.
But yes, we will. Lamar, how have these psychedelic treatments changed you? Like, you were talking about having supported people like Zappy in your life. Has it changed, like the people you choose to be around? Or
Yeah, all of that.
daily practices? How has it changed who you are and what you do?
I think it's made me a little bit more habitual. Try to stick to things. And if I say I'm gonna be there, I'm there.
Yeah.
Just the little things that lead to big things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And Lamar's been paying it forward a lot recently with, the rehab centers and people that he's been. I think he's told me you went to Ohio recently for a LeBron James thing with.
Yeah, I had it was at a LeBron James mental health center that he has out there, and I had a fireside chat about mental health and the things I've been through with my addiction, my struggles with mental health.
Do you recommend psychedelic treatments to other people? Is it something you would recommend?
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
Oh yeah! I stand on it. I stand on it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think it could help everybody.
Yeah.
In
No, like
the
Lamar
world.
said, after the pandemic, who doesn't have some form of PTSD from that experience? So I think like where before they used to say, well, maybe you only should do it if you have treatment-resistant depression that nothing else works for, which Yale said was 70% effective. But now, they've even gone further than that, and they're put in the medical coverage, potential coverage, the codes that they have for coverage, they put the word burnout in there. And burnout, I think, is very real and also something that everybody's experiencing. So I'm really hopeful that with that advancement, that we're actually going to see people have more access, have insurance pay for this, because it's very cheap for them. And I want to say one thing, just if I can, about the good news is that as big as the pharmaceutical companies are with the antidepressants and things, even bigger than them are the health insurance companies like United Healthcare and Kaiser, who are buying all these drugs from them. And I know firsthand that they've said, we want you pharmaceutical companies to get to the psychedelics as soon as possible, because we don't want to pay for these very expensive antipsychotics, people going to the emergency room on Saturday night having a panic attack. Like, if they could just have $3 worth of ketamine or some psilocybin mushroom microdose, why aren't we let's do that, because we need that. And so they're pushing the pharmaceutical companies. So it's really, I think it's happening now.
I wanted to ask you, Zabby, about your predictions. So this was 5 years ago, about when you two started working together, and the stigma around psychedelics has changed a lot since then. I mean, that was pretty underground and not very well known what you were doing 5 years ago. Now, just 3 days ago, Oprah had the guide to psychedelics in Oprah's Daily. So things have changed a lot. Where do you predict we'll be in 5 years from now?
So one of the most exciting things to happen is psilocybin mushroom microdosing, because even though they say there's not enough evidence, that's because it hasn't been legal to test, but the actual evidence of it is overwhelming. And it's sweeping through the middle of the country. These moms are moms on mushrooms. You may have even seen some of these stories, but it's very real that the women are the ones who make the health decisions, of course, in the family with the kids and the husbands and everything. And they're having these great experiences. They're sharing the microdoses with their neighbors and their friends in school. And it's just ripping through the middle of the country. And I'm predicting that in a few years, those are going to basically replace antidepressants, number one. Number two, I think, coming in the future, 5 years from now, like you said, is really happening now, but it's going to be perfected, is what I would call digital psychedelics, where you're not even taking the compound, you're just being given the frequency of whatever compound it is that you want to have that experience. Wow. And we've been investigating that, and it's very powerful, and sometimes people aren't ready for that, but the fact of the matter is that, ketamine is just this, a certain frequency. If you were able to look at it, it's just frequency. Everything has a different frequency. And when you put that into yourself, you synthesize that with yourself, and ketamine's a very high frequency. So if you're able to give people the frequency of ketamine without giving it to them, your brain really doesn't know the difference. It's gonna do what it thinks it should do in this situation, which is, with ketamine, is to dissociate your left and your right brain and let them communicate without your ego being involved. And so this is the beauty of it, is that I think people, have gotten a little bit bored in their life. They kind of are scanning for danger all the time, and they get bored. They always know what's going to happen. And then to get out of that, they'll go to a horror movie, or they'll go see a comedian, they'll say something that all of a sudden they're like, oh, I didn't expect that. Well, with psychedelics, it's when you go in, you have to surrender to, you don't know what's going to happen. And in that surrender, you get a lot of freedom, and you lose your fear of death, or you maybe have some vision of what the future is that's different than what other people are showing you. And so this is really going to be the benefit of psychedelics, is that they, give you that opportunity to, surrender to something that unknown, and that's, basically what people are craving. So it's here.
Before we go to questions from the audience, do you have some final words you'd like to leave people with? Your hopes for educating people about psychedelics?
Well, I think we should just all educate ourselves, and don't be afraid of the healthy high.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
And if any
walk through the
company,
threshold.
if any good companies here feel like
Yeah,
Lamar
let's talk
resonates, definitely,
we can definitely talk business.
talk
100%.
business with him, because I really feel like in the future, also in 5 years, Lamar's really going to be recognized as somebody who's, stood up for it's okay to talk about mental health at a time where, it wasn't that proper in that time. So I think that's going to be definitely his legacy. So if when Lamar resonates with something, he's the best salesperson ever. So if he likes your product or whatever, I would say, get on board with Lamar early, because the mental health and the way to heal it, you're really going to have to hear these things from people who've done these things and been there. You can't just do what they used to do with, just hand out a prescription. It's really, you got to, and hopefully work with somebody who can put you in the right setting, the right mindset and the right setting of who you're with and where you are. And that's why I feel like, not to just shamelessly plug Keta VIP, but to be in your own home, that is the ultimate setting. And that's where psychedelics really deserve to be. You shouldn't have to go to a sterile doctor's office and have people look at you that maybe don't understand what you're doing or think some other way. I think now's the time. This is the Mind Army right here. This is our nonprofit, which is fighting for the right to pursue happiness. And we believe it's your inalienable right to go inside your own mind for answers and healing. And we're not just going to sit around in 2024 and let people tell us alcohol's good, tobacco's good, but psilocybin mushrooms, that's bad. And even if your family's in crisis, you can't access it. So we just don't accept that. And we're saying, hopefully you're in the right, setting and you can find these things, but hopefully California goes legal soon, because when they do, they're the 5th largest economy in the whole world, and that will be enough to get this industry over into critical mass. So I think people like Lamar keep speaking up, and really people that you don't exactly expect, those are the people who are going to have the biggest impacts. So check out the Reborn movie. It's on YouTube now. We just want people to see it at this point, but it's kind of like a fly on the wall. As I said, Andres, who's in the back, shot that, and he's gave you a fly on the wall experience.
You actually get to see Lamar have his ibogaine experience.
And the ketamines, and amazing.
That you did that. Lamar, I've heard you say that, you almost died. You feel like God saved you for a reason, and this is part of that reason. If you can help save other people by educating them about these medicines.
I guess it wants me to use my platform for something.
Yeah.
And the positive. So.
Well, we really appreciate
Why not
it.
this? Thank you.
Thank you. So let's take some questions from you guys.
No questions? No problem.
And I'm on the board of Equalize Nature, and it's to give access to people of color and everybody, and so we all have access to for psychedelics. But and I probably use that as a supplement. But I have like this question that I really wanted to ask is because I lost my one of my good sisters, my cousin, to femicide, and when she visited, she had a big message that I think be shared and help people that don't agree. And I was wondering if you could share your message and I'll share my message. I don't know if you could share what Kobe said to me.
When he said to me,
When you had your audio came, you said
When he came,
Kobe appeared.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy. Well, fourth quarter. Because it was so intense, I was wishing it would stop. His spirit was just telling me like, it's the fourth quarter, push through it. You know what you're doing it for, and who you're doing it for.
I was never going to go to my tribe. I was never going to go home, never to Mexico, not even for Scarlet and Jesus. I love you more than you could ever imagine. And when I saw all these rings, I think if we lost somebody, we got to work on that.
Wow.
Wow,
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you.
Other questions? Yes, here.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Do you feel like that you are being understood within your family community? Because I know that when you step outside into alternative care and medicine, that a lot of the times you are looked at and scrutinized a lot. So I just want to know, have you integrated with your family?
I felt like I was more understood, more misunderstood with moves that I was, and when it comes to my sobriety, I don't give a fuck if you misunderstand me, basically. You know what I'm saying? So, family, no family, boyfriend, girlfriend, nothing, you know what I mean? When it comes to my sobriety, I'm not serious. That's your problem.
Yep.
And really, anyone just needs to look at you. Like, wouldn't you say, Zach, you've seen quite a big change in Lamar since you first started working with him?
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about it is like he's the same exact person. Like Lamar is just like always to me like a kid, you know, happy to check out the world and everything. And so that's what I love about psychedelics. I don't think it changed him at all. I just think it sort of, you know, reframed like, oh, I got this shot, you know, like I shouldn't even be alive, you know, and I got the shot, so I might as well, you know, do the best I can and
I think it
share.
changes your outlook on everything.
And change the
You're right.
Okay, any questions? Yes, over here.
Well, I mean, I pray and I meditate a lot. So I guess God is my therapist all the time.
And also I think like there was a good group around us, you know, like of community, because I don't think they have to be like a therapist,
Yeah.
but if you have,
Great energy
yeah,
around you, understanding energy, empathetic energy.
yeah.
What happens after a psychedelic experience, and I'm going to be giving a talk about this at 350 and the room down there. Pretty much all psychedelics create this extra neuroplasticity, and so whatever you do after the psychedelic experience is reinforced and forms new neural pathways. So like you're talking about, if you're working with a coach or a therapist or any kind of group or just having the right people around you, first of all, it's easier to break habits like addiction, depression, anxiety, these are habits in your brain as well, after a psychedelic experience because the neural pathways that were formed around those negative habits are reduced and you have the opportunity to form new neural pathways or new habits. You can go back to the old ones or do worse, but if you make the right choices, that's why integration coaching and therapy is often very helpful. But I think in Lamar's case, because he was so dedicated to your daily practice, right? Your meditation, your prayer, having people like Zappy and really supportive people in your life that you're in touch with on a daily basis, you're able to rewire those neural pathways utilizing, it is a form of biohacking, but utilizing that extra plasticity to make the changes. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty amazing. Question back here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What he said
Big side of their new
in New York City.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, life is crazy. Yeah. My grandmother used to say, if you want to make God laugh, tell me your plans. You know what's so crazy, bro? I wish, if I knew, I would have $1 billion in my pocket. I don't know. All I could do is just walk my walk and talk my talk. You know what I mean? Until I hit it. Yeah. I like that. I make fun of myself. You know what I mean? Just don't take everything that serious. Laugh about it, don't cry about it. My glass is always half full. Try to stay positive, even during the worst of times. You know, psych myself out. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta do that.
Mamba mentality.
Yeah, Mamba mentality. You know, I played on a really successful team, and we used to meditate with each other. And I'm probably I might start meditating with my kids. Maybe we can come closer, like you know, as a team.
Yeah.
Right? You know, just stay positive, man.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Thanks for your work and sharing your story.
Thank you.
I'm wondering what parts of yourself you feel like you got back through this work.
That's a good question.
Pride. You know, not afraid to show face.
There's a question in front of you.
Do you currently maintain a relationship with any psychedelics like psilocybin that you might have noticed at all?
Microdose a little bit here and there. Mushrooms. That's about it.
Ketamine on the
You'll do
sub.
your
Ketamine.
ketamine boosters when you feel like you need one.
Yeah, when I got these guys around me. That's about it.
And that's something you feel is still
Oh yeah, it's still close to me. Help me focus.
Yeah, no, that one I have, like I said, I think with all this technology and information overwhelming people, it's like we need some kind of a quantum leap in our brain, and it feels like ketamine is that quantum leap to build up what you need between where you are and where you're going. And so I almost think in the future it's going to be sort of a once a month thing that people are going to do a medical session. So I know, you know, there's a protocol to build up enough neural pathways in the beginning, but then once you do that, it's really up to you. You know, when you feel like you need one, then you just, you know, take that step, and hopefully insurance can cover it soon so that everybody can get that, because this is sort of the, you know, people always say, Zappy, you shouldn't say psychedelics are a panacea, but they are literally the closest thing that we have to a panacea to save society right now. So I think we have to embrace it 100%, and I want to thank Lamar again for being super brave.
Thank you for having me.
One, two, three. Do one more second.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. One,
Thank
100. Yes. Nice. Great job, man.
Good
Love you,
job.
man. Yeah, love
Spoke up a little bit more that time, right?
you. Yeah, that was great.
I'm getting the hang of it, Zach.
Yeah,
We're
nah.
going some tours with this,
Yeah.
man, bro. Let's do
Let's
something.
take it on tour.
I'm with it.
You hey,
What's up, bro?